Hey everybody, this is PJ Riley from Lancaster Archery in our video studio today with Olympic U.S. bronze medalist Casey Caulfield. Casey, we're here to talk about the new Hoyt Olympic Recurve lineup this year. Olympic or barebow, could be. The new high-end Recurve lineup from Hoyt this year. And let's start talking about risers. First up, we have the Xceed 2.
Yes, this is their new ILF riser, the Xceed 2, combining some of their newer engineering features into this riser. As you can see, the normal string tension system up in the limbs, that has stayed the same, but the pocket is shaped a little bit different. And then we also have this new feature for the clicker. If you choose to mount it onto the riser, it is separate from the rest plate, so it sounds a little bit different, a little bit of a crisper sound when you get that click.
Yeah, one of the features that they mentioned of that was that by attaching it to the riser that you'll be able to feel it in addition to hearing it.
Right, and
when
that's
they removed it
that's
from
a
the
huge advantage for reaction time. Instead of just hearing it, you can also feel it, and so that gives you two senses as to when it's time to let the shot go.
So they mentioned in noisy environments. You've been in those environments. Is there times when you can't hear your clicker?
Especially when it's raining, it is hard to hear it because the rain's hitting everything, the tents, the targets, and so it sounds like a lot of clickers are going off around you, and it's sometimes hard to hear your own. So something like this, it'll make a very crisp and clear sound that you can hear and feel.
Gotcha. And so in separating it from the Vertitune plate, now we have what they call the monoblock Vertitune plate. This is where you're going to mount your rest. Still the same, you have low, medium, and high positions. But Hoyt is also saying by doing that it added some rigidity to the riser. Why is having a rigid riser good in the first place?
It's definitely good for the lifespan of the riser, right? Making sure it'll last a long time through many years and thousands upon thousands of shots. And also just for the overall look, right? You want as much stability as possible, and also in the paint, that will help keep it lasting longer.
All right, so Casey, there are a lot of typical features that this bow has, or this riser has. I'll let you run down them in terms of the pocket, the limb adjustment, all that.
Right, so here you have the damper on the inside of the limb. That makes the riser have the least amount of vibration as possible. Again, the string tension system, there is the high, medium, and low settings, just feels a little bit different on your fingers while you're drawing the bow. And then of course the tiller bolts here, super adjustable, can turn the limb down, make it a little harder to pull, and then make it easier as you back it out. And then something a little bit different here, normally there are different little holes that you can screw dampers into. This time we have one at the top of the riser, so you can screw in some extra weights, an extra damper, make the setup as customizable as possible.
And the damper in the middle there, I should mention, Hoyt mentioned that you can pop that out and add weights to that. They're sold separately if you want to.
You can add up to 2 ounces in the top or the bottom limb pocket, or put one in each, however you would like. Hoyt does a really good job of making sure you can tune this riser to your custom preferences.
All right, so, and I should mention this one weighs 3 pounds, and this is their ILF setup. So we have the SR is our next riser that we have here, and this is the Formula setup.
Yep.
Explain the difference between that. ILF and Formula.
Right, so ILF is the universal limb system, so like any other type of ILF limb will fit in an ILF riser. Formula is something that is specific to Hoyt, that is their own engineering, and so only Formula limbs will fit in a Formula riser. And so the draw curve feels a little different. The brace point of an ILF limb will stack a little bit harder than a Formula limb. Formula tends to feel a bit smoother. So again, that's just whatever your personal preference is. For myself, I like a little bit of a smoother draw, but this still has that snappy release. And so that is why I tend to go with a Formula setup.
Gotcha. On this riser, are there any new features, or is everything pretty much the same in terms of the clicker and the Vertitune plate, the monoblock?
So very similar features between the two, just the biggest difference is ILF. This one also has the lowered grip. Still the same with the clicker plate out in front of the riser now, still having the dampeners and the string tension and everything just on a Formula riser.
And you and I were talking, explain about lowering the grip, what that does for the feel of the bow and everything?
So lowering the grip will make it and form a little bit top heavy, and so for the people that like a very quick bow reaction, a very good out of the hand feel and swing, that really helps. And so for me, I also like to put weights in the top of the riser. That's something else if you like more of like a front heavy, a very jumpy kind of swing setup out of the follow through is definitely what I would suggest, having a lowered grip on a riser.
Cool. All right, so then we move on to the Metrix limbs. New for this year, and we do have 28 to 50 pounds in 2-pound increments. You can get short, medium, and long, which 66, 68, 70-inch bow. All right, Casey, so the Metrix limbs, there's 2 versions of it. We have the carbon and foam, or we have the carbon and laminate wood that's going to be in the middle there. Yep. What's the difference between the 2?
So with carbon and foam, it'll feel a bit smoother throughout the whole shot, not as snappy on the release, whereas carbon and the laminate will be a bit more snappy. And again, that's up to personal feel, if you like to feel a little softer coming off the fingers or if you like that really immediate snap. But the draw for both will feel pretty smooth. The laminate will stack a little bit more at the end.
Gotcha. Hoyt says that what they did is they changed the weave in the carbon to get a little more performance and a little better feel out of the limbs. And actually, I just saw they said they actually changed it, each different limb, the different weights, you know, the 2-pound increments, that it's different for each one to maximize each draw weight. But you know a lot about what's new and cool on this limb, so I'll let you describe it.
So the biggest thing that stands out first is that the top is white and the bottom is black. That is something different than what we've seen from most of the Hoyt high-end limbs. They're usually all black. Something they wanted to do here was really get into the heat testing of a limb, right? We're shooting outdoor season most of the year and it gets really hot in some places. Like I shot in Turkey this year and it was like 98 degrees on the field and the sun is out all day. And so that really over time can affect the limb, just with, you know, the heat eventually deteriorates the constant of how easy it is or how hard it is to pull back. And so having something with white, it reflects the heat a little bit better and makes the temperature increase a lot less.
And we mentioned the thickness of these limbs, that these are thicker.
Yes, so these are a little bit thicker than the previous limbs that we've seen, like the Xceed and the Velos. And the reason for that is just so they last longer over time, right? They're being bent for most high-level athletes like hundreds of times a day, thousands of times a week. And so having it a little bit thicker gives the limb a bit more stability over time. And then also adding to the heat, they have a UV coating that helps to keep the temperature constant.
So this is a carbon limb, I should mention, and Hoyt said that they have kind of a new way that they layer the carbon in there to improve the performance. Give it a little faster speed while also making it kind of smoother in the draw, as well as having a UV coating to go with what you mentioned about the temperature factor there. Like, will you notice a difference like from the morning to the evening if you're shooting?
Definitely, like when I go out in the morning, like I can pick up my bow and I don't notice that it's hot, but by it gets to like the late afternoon when the sun's been beating on the bow all day, I pick up my bow and I'm like, oh, this feels hot. And you can feel the limbs and they definitely feel hot after sitting in the sun all day. And so the goal here is to just make it as temperate as possible.
All right. And Casey, so the Metrix limbs, they come in both the ILF or the Formula.
Correct. So these limbs can, of course, go with the Xceed 2 if they're ILF or the SR if they're Formula, but also respectively with any older model bows. So like the Formula could also go with the XD and the ILF could go with the original Xceed, a GMX3, or any other ILF riser.
You've been shooting the SR and the Metrix. What do you notice? What's your initial impressions?
The biggest thing is the feeling of the draw. Like I notice it is very smooth, something I really like in a Formula setup. And the other thing is like over time, like I set my, the darker limbs out in the sun and then set these new ones out in the sun, and the temperature, you can really feel that these stay cooler over time.
All right. Casey Caulfield, appreciate your expertise. The brand new Hoyt Xceed, SR, Metrix limbs. If you want to see any of these that we have, be sure to click the link in the description below. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like it, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to click that bell to get notifications whenever we put out new videos. As always, if you have any questions, you can visit us at lancasterarchery.com.